Hello, it's Steve with CarSmart in Niagara Falls, and we've got another 2019 RAV4 for you today. This is a trail grade, all loaded up. These come very well equipped, very few options. One of the options that is on this one is what they call a two-tone paint with that sort of like a pearl white top on it. And you can see, of course, it has the big oversized roof racks, big oversized power sunroof as well. The exterior color is called Lunar Rock. It's sort of a cross, sort of a greenish gray color, very unique, lovely look. And then this has the lighter leather interior with sort of a light gray, darker gray seats as opposed to the all black interior. LED headlights, and these are both low beam, which are on now, and then when high beam is activated, your third one comes on, and they have an auto on-off control. They have an auto shut-off control, sort of giving you illuminated entry into your driveway when you're parking it. And also auto high beam assist, so the sensors will read oncoming traffic and lights and will automatically dim your high beams if you do not shut them down. You've got integrated into the front nose of the car is an advanced radar sensor system sort of in behind the Toyota logo, and what that does is it's reading what's ahead of you on the road. So one for the sort of adaptive radar cruise control works off that same sensor, but it also has sort of pedestrian, cyclist, or other vehicular traffic sensing with sort of collision mitigation, they call it. So again, if you're slow to apply the brakes and it senses that you're closing too quickly on any given object, it will actually start to apply brakes and either prevent or certainly mitigate what could be a very serious accident. So some real neat safety features included with that. 19-inch alloy wheels, again Bridgestone all-season radial tires. Now you will see on the other side here I have one of the winter tires lined up. It has a full set of winter steel wheels and tires as well that go with it, so you're all set for all 4 seasons. Down beneath the wipers themselves, you may be able to see it in the camera shot. There's defroster or de-icing lines grid built into what they call the wiper park position, and when that's activated, it de-ices those wipers so they don't ice up in the winter time from freezing rain, snow, etc. Up top, 2 items there in the window. One is a sort of a camera that does lane tracking. So again, lane assist, and there's like 2 stages to it. One, the basic lane assist will sort of watch what's going on, and if you're sort of wandering in the lane, it will give you a warning. And you can activate what they call active steering assist on top of that, where it will actually proactively start to center you back in the lane. And it also works with what we call sort of lane departure. So for example, a long drive, maybe you're on your own, you're sort of falling asleep at the wheel, you didn't pull over at the last rest stop. Again, if you're actually leaving the lane, falling asleep at the wheel, it will actually start to push you back into the center and wiggle the steering wheel. And this kind of active safety feature, could certainly save your life. It could be a very, very important safety feature to have, especially in those situations. You'll see, again, part of the trail grade, all color keyed handles, blacked out trim for the mirrors. The window surround molding is all blacked out. Of course, you can see the openings up over the wheel arches, wrapping around into the bumpers and around the fog lights. Big hefty sort of splash guards, and then that lower door molding sort of does 2 things. It sort of certainly protects from stone and sand blasting from the front wheels, but it also wraps around down underneath, and you'll see that plastic covering over the rocker panels. So again, double protection there for paint degradation from sandblasting. Now, I mentioned the winter wheels and tires. These aren't brand new, but there's still at least another season left in those, and of course the steel wheels always make it easier because you're not mounting and dismounting tires twice a year. You see the little trail badge on it, and one thing that's kind of unique with the trail is the dual exhaust outlets, and it's all stainless steel exhausts, and that's one thing I love about Toyotas. Very, very long, high quality components. They just don't wear out as quick. And yes, you're going to pay a bit more for a Toyota versus some other vehicles, but there's good reason for it. Tried and true, people believe in the reliability, the proven resale value, the safety. All these things make a vehicle worth more in the long run. They're not throwaway cars. I've seen RAV4s over 500,000 kilometers. You know, you've got to take care of them, of course, do your oil changes every 8,000 kilometers. But there's no reason why you can't get many years out of it for this one. This one, 2019, it's got it just turned, it's about to roll 155k. You know, sort of average kilometers for its age. You've got that sort of rooftop antenna up there as well. That's for the satellite radio and GPS kind of communication. You've got inside here the third LED brake lamp, and then of course your other brake lamps are all LED as well. Backup cameras poking through there. Similar sort of two-tone with that sort of silver lower effect. Again, Bridgestone tires all around. Nice shape. Anyways, getting into the car, keyless remote entry. Just leaving the key in your pocket or purse and just sort of touching the door handle will automatically unlock, sort of what's called a smart key system. The mirrors themselves are what they call a breakaway design. You know, if they get bumped in any direction, no worry, it's not going to break the housing. It all undoes. You've got an integrated LED strip in there that, of course, for signal lighting as well as your four-way flashes will illuminate for better visibility from other drivers. Also in here we have, you'll see the little icon there, if we can get the right angle. There we go. Anyway, that illuminates in a really bright amber color, LED backlit. When it senses somebody in your blind spot, or what they call rear cross traffic assist. And if you were to peel the bumper back, you'll find mounted inside that plastic end cap a radar sensor, much like the front one. But this one's function is to really see what's going on in this quadrant in behind the car, as well as to detect sort of cross traffic movement. So number one, if you're driving on the lane and you're about to lane change, and you see that orange light lighting up, it's going to of course give you that warning you're not going to change lanes into somebody else. Also, you know, when you're backing out of a parking lot, any activity over on the side here, it's going to pick up that motion and also warn you as well. So what they call rear cross traffic assist, as well as blind spot monitoring. We have nice deep tinted windows as well. There's also a nice little kind of integrated spoiler in the back there. Of course, rear wiper washer. That rear wiper also has that sort of defrosting for the wiper park position. So inside, again, sort of a two-tone, light gray, dark gray interior, power windows, door locks and mirrors, safety lockout on the power windows to cancel the other power windows. We've got our power mirror controls here, deep storage, tall bottle storage, speakers mounted in here. Now this has a 6-speaker audio system, power seat, as you can see. It's a 10-way power adjustable seat with a power lumbar support for your lower back support. Nice lateral support with nice bolsters, and it kind of very sporty. You see all the orange piping and stitching throughout, orange accents through the cup holders and storage areas. These little storage areas on both sides. Again, all upgraded. And then of course it's perforated, so whether you have heat or there's a cooling function as well. There is a fan that actually blows that cool air conditioned air in the summertime up through those little perforations in the seat to keep your bottom from getting sweaty and hot. And again, the 3 stages on both heating and cooling, so great setup. All-weather RAV4 floor mats, you know, with all the tie down so they don't creep and bunch up under your pedals. A nice big wide sort of footrest for your left foot. We've got fuel door and hood releases here and here. A number of switches, so let's run through these. Dimmer switch, this is of course for all our backlighting and interior illumination. This turns on or off the automatic high beam assist system. This activates our front wiper defrosting, the wiper park position. This is a heated steering wheel, and this one will activate in a moment, but that's for the power tailgate opening and closing, and that can also be actuated with your key fob or with a little button under the underside of the tailgate handle. Down in here, for both sides have sort of it's a knee airbag on the driver's side and what they call a lower cushion airbag on the passenger side. And that's designed to again for better safety for the passenger that doesn't have a steering wheel. But again, this is all part of the airbag system, in addition to side impact airbags, curtain airbags, and then dual stage airbags within the steering wheel as well as the upper dash on the passenger side. Again, we'll jump into that in a moment. Telescopic steering, so lots of adjustability, especially with that power seat. You're bound to get a nice comfortable setup. Your seat belts themselves have a height adjuster on them, so you can get that sort of proper positioning over your shoulder. Instrumentation, the sun is kind of moving on me today, but you'll see here over on the side, tachometer on the left, speedometers in the middle with a digital speedometer. Then you've got fuel gauge, engine temperature, and there's a whole bunch of other options here. So you've got your fog light indicator, clock, low beams. Then there's a multifunction control, which is all sort of done through the left socket here. This is where you can go through and look at your average fuel economy, economy indicators, message center. This is where your settings, your vehicle settings for lane assist, pre-collision, safety, warnings, blind spot warnings, rear cross traffic assist. Everything's on right now, but you can sort of deselect options if you find some things maybe overly intrusive. You don't like that them telling you you're wandering in your lane, etc. So again, that's all driver selectable. P just indicates the park position of the transmission, and then we've got outside sort of ambient temperature display there, 19 degrees. And then odometer, 154, 977 as it sits. And the little push button here is for our trip odometer reset. And then, of course, steering wheel. So we got that leather wrap steering wheel, heated as we mentioned earlier, which I'm going to turn off right now because we don't need that here today. And then this is sort of a back button to sort of go back to your previous menu selection. Phone, obviously answering or ending a phone call. Voice command, so especially with things like phone and the various media selections, has Apple CarPlay too. You can control a lot of this by voice, and it actually has Siri adaptability in it as well for Apple phones, so for Siri commands. And then you've got volume controls that you can control from here. And then over here we have all our cruise control settings, on and off, the various settings, the lane or the steering assist on and off, if you, again, whether you want that extra steering assist or just a warning for the lane assist setup. And then the adaptive cruise control gives the ability to sort of set different sort of trailing distances. So depending on the highway you're on and how busy traffic is and your comfort level, you can set 3 different trailing distances between you and the car ahead of you. And then as traffic sort of speeds up and slows down, it'll always maintain that gap, which is really nice. And it goes all the way down to a stop as well. So if there's a traffic jam and stops on the highway, it'll bring it all the way down to a stop. And it does have what they call a brake hold features. And if that is activated, it actually will sort of hold the brake in a locked position until you release or until you tap the gas pedal. So again, say you're stopped at a traffic light for a long time or waiting for a train at a level crossing. Once you come to a stop, you can take your foot off the brake and it actually holds it in that position until you're ready to proceed, and say just touch the gas pedal and away it goes. We'll get into this setup a bit more in a moment. Of course, we have a nice big infotainment screen with a large 8-inch screen. As mentioned, I've got my cell phone plugged in there, and this is Apple CarPlay that we're looking at. If I go back to the main menu, if you've seen this before, of course what you're getting is sort of screen projection from your smartphone right up onto here. So this allows you to use all your favorite apps. Like this is Google Maps right now. I kind of like it in that you can set it up with the kind of Google Earth overlay images over the map, so you can sort of see the water tower, that apartment building as you're going, and especially in big cities where there's landmarks like that, it sort of gives you an idea where you're at. And then of course you can go into your things like your music functions and your phone and everything from here. As you swipe through, you'll see some of the apps coming up off of my thing. I often use different apps for navigation. I've got Waze, I've got Google Maps, and of course there's Apple Maps as well, iHeartRadio, and then of course things like your music streaming. You can go into your favorite streaming services, whether it's Spotify or I tend to use the Amazon Music, but again, all those are there for you. And of course, once we sort of put it into reverse, then we don't lose our functionality of backup cameras. And you can see as I turn the steering wheel, what we call active parking assist guidelines. So this will actually tell you where the car is going to go, and then these little distance markers will mark off sort of 12, 24, 36 inches, so you get a good idea as to how close you are to any other options. You can change your views from a regular to a wide angle view. You can drop some of these park assist guidelines depending on your preferences, so lots of setup options as well. So let's go back into park here. If we go back to our home screen, this is sort of our main Toyota home screen now. So that right now it's giving me a combination of sort of a trip computer as well as my media selection. But if I go into the menu, this is sort of your main sort of app screen or overhead, or sort of home menu, I should say. Audio controls, it would come up here. This is where you can select your sources. You know, we do have the standard AM, FM, it has Sirius XM satellite radio. We've got phone connectivity through the USB port. Now you can also do this if you don't have or don't want to use like the CarPlay. You can do just your basic media streaming. So your wireless Bluetooth streaming, which can come through here. You can plug in USB sticks into there with music. So lots of different options for pushing media into your overhead or into the vehicle's audio system. You'll see down below. Underneath here there's what they call a QI, or it's a wireless phone charging system as well, so you just set your phone in there, it'll automatically charge it as well. You don't have to plug it in. You also have a auxiliary audio input, a standard 12-volt power plug, and that USB port. Then there's additional USB ports down here within the steering or center armrest console under the armrest, and then more in the back seat, so everybody's got easy access to charging ports. Push button stop start, your wiper systems, you know, front and rear. It has an automatic rain sensing system, so when you're in the auto mode, that little sensor that's up in behind here will detect you know, rain or snow or anything hitting that sensor and speed up or slow down the your wiper pulses based on the intensity of that precipitation. This button here turns off the sort of that traction control as well as vehicle stability control. So this is kind of, it's always usually left on, but there are certain situations where you may wish to turn off that, giving you the ability to spin the wheels. Very seldom, but in some extreme winter conditions you want to, or off-road conditions, especially if you're in the mud, you know, you don't want to stop. You want to keep that momentum going, so turn that off and allow the wheels to spin, and that's going to get you the best traction to get out of that mud hole. And then you get into your heating and cooling of seats. So the upper red button there is your heat, 3 stages. The lower is your cooling, again 3 stages, and that holds true for both driver and passenger sides. Again, I'll turn those off for now. Dual zone climate control, so you can set independent temperature settings for driver passenger. You can synchronize them to the same, so that's all again driver selectable. Your parking brake, your release, and auto hold, as we talked about earlier. Now these are different transmission modes where you can select from an eco mode, a normal mode, or a sport mode. Now this is not a continually variable transmission like you'd have with the hybrid versions of the RAV4. This is a conventional 8-speed overdrive automatic transmission. We can drop it into just straight drive and let the automatic do its thing. I can sort of move it from the drive mode over into a sport mode where it sort of changes the ability, and it also gives you, more importantly, the ability to sort of sequentially, what they call manually shift. You can upshift or downshift from here. It will illuminate up on your dash there as to what gear you're in at any given time. And yeah, that sort of pretty much runs that. And then there's a number of modes here for your different 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive systems. So you have a mud and sand mode, rock and dirt, push for normal, a snow mode for winter time, and also a downhill assist mode if you're really descending a steep, slippery sort of mountain trail. You can use that. And that's all really best described in the manuals where these come in best and work. But again, it's all very, very straightforward. Nice big cup holders. Again, as mentioned, armrest, storage cubby beneath. Seat belts, again, have those height adjusters as well as what we call seatbelt pretensioning with load limiters. In the event of a collision, seatbelt pretensioners will it's much like the airbag controls are controlled by these same sensors. And is it serious enough that it's going to deploy airbags for passenger safety? It's the same thing with the seatbelt pretensioning. More serious accidents, the seatbelt pretensioners will tighten up instantly, milliseconds. Literally in the snap of your fingers, they're going to tighten up, taking all the slack out of the seatbelts, allowing the belts to really do their job much better. They're going to better restrain the occupant, and that's all important in safety. And that's on both front belts. You've got overhead assist grips for entry and exit. You've got curtain airbags that drop down from the top for front and rear, as well as those side impact bags on the side of the seats. Now the side impact bags and these frontal bags in the steering wheel and up here are all what they call dual stage. And again, same thing, it's an intelligent system. So depending on the severity of the accident, where the impact is occurring, these will deploy at a lower or a higher threshold to give you the appropriate amount of airbag support without giving you too much, because they come out with quite a force. Obviously storage shelf there, handy, nice big glove box. Now, one last thing with the airbags is it has what they call an occupant classification system. You may have noticed earlier as we were panning through and talking about heating and cooling seats, this little light in the middle. Right now it says it's off, airbag number 2. That's the passenger side upper bag up in the dash. And that's because the seat is not occupied. So there's a sensor that reads the weight, and if it's under about 90 pounds, 90 to 95 pounds, it's that kind of that trigger. It then turns on that airbag because it assumes that there's an adult sitting in there. If you have a smaller child or a young teen, that's again somebody under that 90-pound threshold, it's going to leave that airbag off for safety, because airbags are designed for adults, not for smaller folks. As you can see, all the books are here, storage folios, supplements, reference guides to all the audio and multimedia system. Both its smart keys are here, so very, very complete. Of course, you've got your day-night rear view mirror, sunglasses storage, sort of moonroof or sunroof controls for opening and sliding, which we'll look at in a second. There's an SOS emergency assist button here, individual spotlights, door switch lamps, so that when that's activated, of course, those will illuminate sort of a soft entry and then fade out upon closing. And then if you want all your overhead lights on, you can just push that button. You may have noticed these here. These pull out and give you that sort of extended shade from the visor. So whether you're trying to block that little pocket between the mirror and the visor, or you want to swing them around to cover there. Of course, both of these mirrors, driver and passenger, have the lights on them with the little sliding cover. Overhead, we've got a sunshade that opens up, and I've got it sort of vented right now. That obviously drops down. There's a one-touch sort of slide open setup. The very front edge has a sort of a tilt-up deflector to sort of reduce sort of a buffeting effect you can get when the sunroof's open. And that's a deep tint on there. But if it's a really bright day and you're parked in the hot sun, especially without your air conditioning on, of course you can draw the shade across to keep everybody cool. Headrests themselves are what do I call anti-whiplash, or sort of auto adjusting for, again, to reduce whiplash, or an active head restraint. Now, I do have to pause for one moment. I will be right back. Okay, we're back, and so going into the rear of the vehicle, childproof door locks are standard, and to activate these, you just sort of push that little lever down, and that cancels the inside handle, so that, again, kids can't open the door locks while driving. Let's undo it here. There we go. Obviously nice big sort of pockets, again, with sort of a sleeve for drink holders. We've got speakers here. There are also speakers up in the very corners of the front dash. I forgot to show them, but right up in the very front corner, sort of zoom in there, you'll see the speaker grill in the corner. So it's a 6-speaker audio system. Okay, moving to the back again, we've got a seat back pocket in behind the passenger seat. We also have heat and air conditioning vents with a flow control button, and that's going to take a blend of the front air conditioning settings or heating settings depending on the season, and then send it through to the back. And then there's also vents underneath the seats themselves. You can see them there poking out. But again, of course, you're getting that under seat ventilation as well as through the console, and then those are those two sort of USB charging ports as mentioned. Back seat itself is sort of a 3-across seating. We have the sort of latch or isofix anchor point, so you can put car seats in any of the 3 positions across the rear seat. We can drop down a center armrest, giving separation as well as additional sort of drink holders. Seats themselves do flip and fold, sort of in a 60-40 fold flat fashion, right through to the rear cargo area. Fuel door I popped earlier. You see easy access. Now these just take regular gas, or else you'll see a sticker for cars that require premium. It will say premium gas required. But this just takes regular 87 octane, which is the least expensive fuel out there. So that is always a bonus, especially with gas prices the way they are. And we've got a lamp inside the trunk. You've got a built-in power inverter. So this is like your regular 3-prong plug that you'd use at home. So the same sort of household current. So an inverter basically converts a vehicle's 12-volt DC system or direct current to alternating current at 120 volts. So this is where you can plug in, you know, your battery charger for your portable drill, or if you have coolers that plug in, you can plug them in here. You also have an additional 12-volt socket in the back. Obviously, as you can see here, you've got your little spot for storage. Underneath here, spare tire, jack and tools are all under there as well. We've got these nice sort of hefty sort of tie-down hooks, you know, for securing loads. And then, of course, you've got a power opening, power closing. Of course, that's closing there, but this little soft touch button under here will also open the car if you're walking up to the car. And with those proximity keys, it's just like the front. You don't even have to use the key to power open it. You can just, it'll read the fact that you're in front of the vehicle and automatically open it. Now, finding hood release, there we go. So, 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, and that's what we call a normal aspiration. There's no turbocharger on this vehicle. And again, over 200 horsepower, so 203 horsepower out of this, and lots of low-end torque. Again, you do not need a 6-cylinder with these newer engines and this technology. And with Toyota's reliability, again, I've seen these engines go many hundreds of thousands, like over 500k on many occasions. No worry about reliability. And turbochargers, while they do make more power, they also throw a lot more complexity and another potential failure point. I'm a big believer in the normal aspiration engines. I'll leave it at that. This does have what they call direct injection, and it's kind of a neat feature. One thing that people, you may be aware, especially with a lot of European cars, they're using DI or gas direct injection. They can lead to a problem of what they call carbon buildup on the intake valves. Toyota, one of the, again, I guess leaders in technology and research, developed a system whereby they use gas direct injection, but they also have sequential port injection. And the reason they've left the port injection there, albeit on a minimal level, is it gives a sort of an intermittent spray of fuel, which acts like a solvent over the intake valves, and that prevents carbon buildup on the valves. So it's an ingenious way of preventing that problem that you find with other GDI engines. And they're one of the few manufacturers doing it. They were the first to do it, in my understanding. So, great reliability, as always. Toyota, you can't go wrong. I'm Steve with CarSmart. Thanks for watching.